Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Alright guys, if you have time, please give this video a thumbs up and pass it on to someone else who may like to see it as well. Also, today we have a very interesting topic. We have a fun topic. A lot of times our topics are really intense, they're really heavy, because the questions that I get are really intense. They're sad sometimes, to be honest with you. When I first started asking Aquarius, the questions were more funny. It was more entertainment, it was more laughter. So I always try to throw those in between the serious situations that we deal with. So today we're going to deal with one of the fun questions that I got. Someone asked me, who are my top 10 favorite celebrity Aquarius? Okay, so when we're done, I'm hoping that you will tell me your favorite Aquarius. Now, usually when I do a list like this, I give 10 or 12 or something like that. I only ask you guys to do 2, 3, 4, and I don't ask you that because I don't care about your whole list, but because I notice some people don't have the time. So if you want to jot down 2 or 3, that's great. If you want to give us 10, that's great too. So here is my top 10. My number one, I'm going to start with. My number one favorite celebrity Aquarius is Oprah Winfrey. I have the biggest crush on Oprah. Oprah is like my imaginary boo. Okay? If I had to pick a wife and I could pick anybody, it would be Oprah. I love her rags to riches story. I love her gumption. She got hustle. Oprah hustle like, somebody in the street, selling socks and CDs on the corner, okay? She hustled her ass off, and she's really smart with it, and she climbed up from the bare bottom. So I really love her. I mean, if there was one celebrity out of all of them, it would have to be her. If somebody said I could meet anyone I wanted, any one woman, it would definitely be Oprah. She to me is the perfect example of a light Aquarius. She talks about compassion, and she doesn't give hatred a platform. A lot of stuff that she did on her show really impressed upon me, and I do a lot of those same things here at Ask an Aquarius. So yeah, I love her. I love her whole, her whole climb, and the way that she handles her business, and Harpo, and the OWN network. She has some of the greatest shows on the OWN network. I just love her. I love her to death. I can't, sing her praises loud enough. I wish she was my friend, literally, or my mentor at the very least. I just adore Oprah. So she is number one. Number two is Rick James. Oh, I love Super Freak. And I love Rick James for different reasons than I love Oprah. Because he's the example of the gray to dark Aquarius, okay? But what I like about him is that he was so no holds barred. He was just wild with it. I'm Rick James, bitch. I mean, he was just with it, he was just about it. And I love that about him. I love his crazy antics. He probably shouldn't have committed all them crimes. Maybe he could have did less drugs, but I love his I'm Rick James, and one of I'm trying to think of who it was. I think it was Charlie Murphy said he was a perpetual line stepper. And Aquarius are perpetual line steppers. We always step over the line, and I like that about Rick, that wildness, that audacity. Some of the stories about him that Charlie Murphy and Eddie Murphy tell crack me up. And I'm like, that's some shit Aquarius do. If you ever watch the old Dave Chappelle show, they tell a lot of old stories about Rick James, and Rick responds to the stories, and he's like, cocaine is a hell of a drug. So I don't think he should have did a lot of things that he did, but it cracks me up that he did them. And I love the fact that he lived on his own terms. Rick did what Rick wanted to do. Now, like I said before, some of the crimes he committed were pretty bad, such as the kidnapping. So those are problematic, but I love his way. I love his personality. Um, that's why he's number two, because I love him. He cracks me up. Number three, Bob Marley. I love Bob. I love Bob's music. I love Bob's answers in interviews. Like, if you read the stuff he used to say, he used to give really good answers. He was very, what we would call nowadays, woke. Bob was woke. He understood capitalism. He understood the system. He understood Babylon. Babylon is, the Western culture, eaten and taken away everybody else's culture and freedoms. Bob really understood what was going on. And I wish that he had lived longer, because I think he had a lot more to contribute. He died way too young. 4, Kerry Washington. Kerry Washington is the young lady who played Olivia Pope on Scandal. And even though I stopped watching Scandal, because after a while it just went left. After a while it just left and I left, But I did like her performances in Scandal, and I've seen her in other things too. She's a beautiful girl. I like Kerry Washington. I like her. I think she's attractive. I like her work ethic. Everything I've seen her in, she has a lot of talent. So that's why she's number 4. I really like her a lot. I'm hoping to see her in more serious roles and, more dramas as time progresses. Olivia's character was very controversial, but some of the times the way she showed up was really good. She would tell you off in a minute, and it was so funny the way she would do it without cursing, and so polite and just very matter of fact. And I was like, she sounds very Aquarius in those moments. So I like her a lot. Number 5 is Ellen DeGeneres. I love Ellen. I think Ellen is very funny. Ellen is another example of the light Aquarius. And I say that because Ellen, if you watch her show, is so kind and generous. And Oprah's like this too. They're both very kind, very generous. But Ellen is more youthful and playful. And that's a very common Aquarius characteristic. And I love it because she's so playful and she's like a kid. She went out one time with Michelle Obama. They went shopping together, and it was hysterical the way Ellen was messing with her. Because I was like, she is Aquarius all day. Very youthful, very fun energy, very generous, always giving to charities and things, and having people come on the show and surprising them by giving them gifts and things. I love that generosity of Aquarius, and Ellen really embodies that. I just really love her a lot. She's really cool. She's also one of the first really popular actresses or comedians, I think she was at that time, to come out as a lesbian. And it was very controversial, because remember, I was alive when this happened. I was a young girl, and it was extremely controversial, and it was people talking smack, and it was all kind of stuff going on. It was a big controversy when she came out, and sometimes people still try to act funny about that. But Ellen she came out and she just wrote it, and she has so much courage. And I really appreciated that, because a lot of actresses in her position wouldn't have come out. They would have just, the actresses and actors of old would have pretended to be straight. They would have gotten married to some dude that they didn't love and pretended to love him and have women on the side. A lot of, lesbian and gay people throughout history have done that. And it's very sad, because you have to hide and pretend that you are whatever this is, so that people will still patronize, your movies and television shows and things like that. So a lot of them won't do that. And Ellen did it, and did it successfully, and is still famous today. So I was like, yeah, that's what's up. She was definitely a role model for me coming up. And I think that it was one of the things that made it easy for me, was seeing other people who had done it makes it easier for me to be like, okay, I can come out and I can be myself, and whoever don't like it, just don't fucking like it, fuck them. And I got that directly from looking at Ellen, and I'm like, wow, I was a young girl when that happened. 6, Frederick Douglass. I like Frederick Douglass because once he mentioned that he was a feminist. And Obama made this statement too, and people said that, oh, he's crazy, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't understand what he was saying. When a man says that he is a feminist, he's not saying that I'm a woman. He's saying that I believe in the equality of the sexes. And Frederick Douglass, who comes to us from African American history, is one of those kind of individuals who way back then, back in the old days, I think he might have been around the 1700s, he was already talking about gender equality way back before, anybody else was talking about it as a man. So I thought that was extremely brave. And Frederick has a lot of speeches and writings and things that you can still Google online, and he had a brilliant mind. I don't know everything about him. I just know the things about him that I like, because when they come up, I read them. So I want to do more research on him, but I do like him. Number 7, Charles Dickens. I like Charles Dickens for one reason, because I don't know a lot about him either. I like him for one reason. I like him because I played Ebenezer Scrooge in the 8th grade Christmas pageant when I was a young girl. And I played Ebenezer Scrooge, and I enjoyed the writing so much. That one particular piece, I need to read other pieces by him, but that one particular piece has gone down in my heart, literally. I did it then, and then I actually did it again in high school. But I wasn't in it in high school. I was one of the stage crew in high school. So I love that particular piece, and I intend to read more of his classic works as time goes on. Number 8 is Rosa Parks. I like Rosa Parks because, again, she has that Aquarian courage. Even though now we know that, the whole thing, a lot of people think that Rosa Parks just got on the bus, said, I'm tired and I'm not getting up, got arrested or whatever happened, and the movement was started. Actually, it's not true. Rosa was a member of the movement already, and she had been trained, and she knew what to do. It wasn't like she was just Joe anybody, So she was trained by the movement to know what to do. So it wasn't like, okay, she just didn't feel like getting up. That was her agenda. That was her agenda that day. Okay, I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to come back, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to get arrested. These people are going to come get me. The whole thing was planned out. But it still took courage to execute it. Rosa could have been beaten. Back in those days, and even in these days, to be honest with you, racism is something that is very much a part of the American society, and it's probably a part of other societies too, but this is the one I know the most. And she could have been beaten, she could have been killed, she could have been hanged, she could have been lynched. These things they still go on. They, to this day, it's not as prominent as it used to be, that we know of, because nowadays if somebody gets lynched or they're missing or something like that, only God knows what happened to them. Was it racial? Was it sexism? Are they harvesting their organs? Were they taken into sex slavery? We never know nowadays. But back then, during this time period, she could have been lynched for that. A number of things could have happened to her, from getting beat up all the way to death. So even though she was trained and it wasn't like it was a spontaneous act, I give her a lot of respect, because that took a lot of courage, and a lot of people wouldn't have done that. Even today, a lot of people don't stand up for their rights or march or do stuff like this. So for her at that time period to do that, knowing that she could have been putting herself in physical harm, is amazing. Yoko Ono. I love Yoko Ono because Yoko Ono weird as shit. She is. Yoko is weird, and I love it. I love the Aquarius weirdness, and I love how she owns it. She just owns it. She tries to perform and with mixed results, but she just does it. Yoko does her thing, and ever since I first saw her with John Lennon, I saw her, well, by the time I saw her with John Lennon, John was already dead. So I'm looking at things from the past. And I would look at like the songs he wrote to her, because remember, he's a Libra and she's Aquarius. So if it touches my little heart because it's my little Libra Aquarius, oh my God, I love that combination. And Yoko, being the Aquarius of the two, I found to be very unusual. I found her to be very eccentric, and I found her to be very authentic and original. And in whether or not it works or not, because some of the time she does stuff and I'm looking like, what are you doing? But I still think she should do it, because again, that's that Aquarius eccentric energy. And if it's making her happy, she ain't hurting nobody. Yoko is actually the exact opposite. She's the kind of person who's always talking about peace, like her husband. She's always talking about giving peace a chance and those kind of things. Even to this day, I saw a documentary with her in Iceland, and she was talking about equality for women and things along those lines. So even to this day, not as much as she used to, she's getting older, but even to this day, she still speaks for, human rights and things along those lines. So I love her eccentric weirdness, and I think she should just stay weird forever. That's one thing about Aquarius that I love. I love that. And the last one, number 10, her name is Mariska Haggerty, like Hagrid from Harry Potter. Mariska Haggerty. I hope I didn't butcher that. But she's the young lady who plays on, it's called Law and Order Special Victims Unit. And you guys know I'm Aquarius, and I watch a lot of detective cop kind of shows. And one of my guiltiest pleasures is the Law and Order series. I watch the original, I watch SVU, and I watch Criminal Intent. And I really can't tell you which one is my favorite, because all three of them get me. If a marathon of those comes on, I could be sitting there watching it for hours. I love those. I love the way they put the cases together. I love the acting, because they use a lot of different actors who've actually gone on to become famous. I just love it. And she is the lead investigator of the Special Victims Unit. And I loved her story. Her mother was Jane Mansfield. And some of you might not remember Jane, but Jane was an old star from the old days, a beauty, a blonde bombshell beauty. And she died with Mariska in the car. It was a car accident, and Mariska was in the car from what I remember, and she died, but Mariska made it. And I think it was some other people in the car too. And so I like Mariska. I found that about her later. I was like, oh wow, that's Jane's daughter, that's deep. But what I like about her is her acting. I mean, Special Victims Unit has to be a really difficult role, because like one time she almost got raped, and you're dealing with kids, cases of kids getting molested and abused. And it's bad enough in real life, but she's doing this and acting out this part. She really brings a lot to the part. I loved, especially the first couple of seasons, her and her partner's name is Elliot. I love their chemistry, and the show has continued on. I think it might even still be on, but I haven't seen it in forever, because a couple years ago my TV intake slowed down by a lot. But when I was watching it, and I was watching cable, I was watching a lot of her. And I love her acting. And I don't know her as a person, or haven't heard anything about her as a person. She seems to have good energy though, and I haven't heard anything negative. But what I like about her is her acting. So that's my list, my top 10 Aquarius of all time. Celebrity Aquarius, that is, because I'm sure I know some non-celebrity Aquarius that I might like this much or more. So it's time for me to get going. So please tell me, who are your favorite celebrity Aquarius? And if you would like to get in contact with me, or if you would like to get a reading done, all of my information will be underneath this video, okay? Thank you for being here, and come back soon, because I have a lot more to say. See you later.